Hello and welcome to Everything's Fine Probably, the show that asks, is it still technically optimism if it's laced with sarcasm? It's been a rough week.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Carry on.
Rescue. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Where was I? Yes, it's been a rough week, unless you're a far-right party, a flaming moorland, or Donald Trump fantasizing about a prison island. Reform UK won big in the local elections, marking the political comeback of angry Facebook uncle energy. So apparently, Stu, if you shout woke into a mirror 3 times, Nigel Farage appears and takes your council seat.
Does he?
Apparently.
Does he?
Meanwhile, wildfires are tearing through the UK.
Just on that, I was listening the other day to one of the new mayors, the new reform mayors,
Excellent.
who was saying, this is it, we're going to get hard on immigration and take back control of values that the British people want.
Which borough is he looking after?
I think it was one Derbyshire.
Right.
And the interviewer said, you do know you're just the mayor, don't you? You'll be dealing with like potholes and, county councils and so on.
Yeah, but none of those foreign potholes still coming over here, ruining our roads.
Yeah. But they do know that they haven't got
any idea at
so they realise they haven't got any power on immigration or anything like that. They're just mayor and county councillors.
I have seen that some of the now reform councils are apparently planning to try to, I think, sue central government over migrants being allowed to stay in these hotels and hostels and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, whether they will or whether they don't, that legal action is going to cost a fortune.
Yes.
So who's going to pay for that?
Well, we are.
Well, we're not, because we didn't vote reforming.
No, but in your local area, you won't get your bins taken away.
Yeah.
Because you're too busy suing the council.
So that'll work well, won't it?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, wildfires are tearing through the UK after the hottest start to May on record. Yeah, we always joked that Britain would catch fire post-Brexit. We just didn't realise it was literal. And Donald Trump says he wants to open Alcatraz, not to live in, disappointingly, but as a prison for immigrants.
Good old Donald.
I mean, nothing says land of the free like turning a historic prison island into a campaign talking point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done, Donald. Yeah. But in spite of all this, there is still good news in the world. Today, we have stories about scientists keeping human brain slices alive in a lab to study Alzheimer's, bees getting power baths to survive without pollen, and pangolins who have had a surprisingly good week, whether they know it or not. So stay tuned. We've got more good news than you can shake a stick at, if shaking sticks at the concept of news is your bag at all. This week, Shelley is presumably watching Ghostbusters films with her cats. But I am joined by Stu.
Hello.
So,
Jim.
Stu, have you had a good week?
It's bank holiday, isn't it?
It's bank holiday.
Yeah, it's been bank holiday, so I've been doing all the bank holiday things.
What sort of things is that?
Cutting the grass.
Lovely.
Buying strimmer wire.
Yes, strimmer wire. Yes, good.
It's quite an ordeal in itself. And taking my nephew to the cinema to see Thunderbolts.
Was Thunderbolts now retitled The New Avengers?
Oh, they have actually done that now, have they?
So,
yeah.
Oh,
okay. They've changed it. Florence Pugh was good.
Yes,
she's good.
She's been excellent in all the Marvel films she's been in.
She's good. So yeah, they've had to try something different, which they have.
Because you're not a fan of superheroes.
I'm not at all. I'm not at all. It was quite, I would say, an interesting take. Like the enemy was depression, and it was about fighting black moods and so on. And if the main superhero guy, the villain who they'd like given special powers to, got depressed, then he started wiping everyone out with his depression. So obviously when he's in a better mood, then things don't happen. So it'd be quite interesting to see how he uses his superpower going forward. I guess if they want to use him, the rest of the gang will have to get him really, really depressed. And I'm just sort of telling him, how inadequate he is and useless and so on. And then he'll be able to use that power to then basically, annihilate people. So quite an interesting concept, one I haven't seen before. But anyway, that was my takeaway.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope that's not a spoiler for the film, but good. Lovely. So not you decided not to go for no mo may.
No Mo May. No, I'm not going to do that.
Well, you haven't. You've mowed your grass.
Well, I had to. It's so long. Well, I am quite interested though. Did you say about keeping people alive with slices of brain?
Yes. Do you want me to start there?
Well, I would, but also just to say, have you ever seen The Boys from Brazil?
I have. Yes. I mean, this is quite different.
I watched that the weekend. That was to do with cloning, isn't it? Cloning Hitler's skin and blood to make children, 96 children around the world, and then bring them up like Hitler. What? Who knew even that film existed? It was like 1976. That was what a bizarre film.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Gregory Peck, James Mason, and Laurence Olivier all pretended to be German with like real hello German accents. What absolute bizarre film. Never seen it, but I would recommend it. Boys from Brazil. But on that, let's jump in with your slices of brain.
So it's big news. It's from Edinburgh. Scientists have managed to keep living slices of human brain alive in the lab, which finally answers the question, what if Frankenstein had a PhD and a research grant?
Whoa.
It's not actually some mad science horror plot. It's part of a genuinely groundbreaking study into the early stages of Alzheimer's. Researchers have taken leftover tissue from routine neurosurgery, and before you panic, no one's missing any. They exposed it to amyloid beta, the protein thought to be one of the major culprits behind Alzheimer's, and it worked. Not in the fun way, where you get super intelligent brain matter in a jar solving Sudoku, but in a really useful way. Scientists could watch in real time how the disease begins to mess with brain connections. And that's a world first. It's a massive leap forward. The lead researcher, Dr. Claire Durrant, described it as a tool to speed up the search for treatments because, as she put it, this stuff isn't easy to test on live people or, ethically.
Yeah, for sure.
So thanks to this new technique, scientists can now try out potential treatments directly on living human brain material rather than hoping what works on a mouse is going to work on you now. They've even found, get this, regional and age-based differences in how brains respond to toxic proteins. So that gives us a much clearer roadmap of where and how Alzheimer's starts to take hold. So if you ever needed motivation to stop binge-watching quiz shows and start learning Mandarin for brain health, this is it.
So are you saying that you're going to get a different Alzheimer's if you live in England to France? You said regional differences.
Not necessarily a different Alzheimer's, but the way in which your brain connections have been built is slightly different, and therefore the way the Alzheimer's attacks it is slightly different.
What differs by country?
It differs by regions.
What, Norfolk, Suffolk? That's incredible, isn't it?
It's amazing.
So you have like a Norfolk version of Alzheimer's. Well, Suffolk version, Cambridge, London one, bit posher.
Not quite.
The Welsh one. Welsh Alzheimer's.
It feels like you want to put some sort of joke in there, but you don't quite trust yourself to.
I'm just waiting to see what you say about this regional Alzheimer's.
So the Alzheimer's it's not regional Alzheimer's. It's still the same Alzheimer's
with an accent.
Just not as such.
Okay.
Not Alzheimer's.
I don't think you should do impressions.
Okay, I won't do impressions. No, that's more your bag. You're the impressions guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't go down that route.
No, let's not do that.
That's why I didn't do it.
No, fair enough.
You fell into that.
I walked straight into that one, didn't I? What a fool. No, all it's saying is different regions, so on, just our brain connections are slightly different.
Right, okay.
Due to upbringing and goodness knows what else. Yeah. And therefore, it gets held in different ways and connects in different ways. So it's a bit unnerving. I know it slices a real human brain and now living their best lives in petri dishes in Scotland. But it's also possible that how we cure a disease that affects over 55 million people worldwide is now out there. I mean, if this were a sci-fi movie, we would be getting into the hopeful montage sequence because for once the mad scientists are the good guys, and instead of lightning bolts, they're powered by grant funding and an uncomfortable amount of pipettes.
This is great stuff again from Britain, isn't it?
It is.
At the forefront of science once more.
There we are, doing what we do. So fabulous news. Will it cure Alzheimer's? I have literally no idea.
Well, it's early stages.
A huge step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So Top that if you can, Stu.
Pangolin news.
Pangolin news.
What?
It's not quite lamb news.
It's not no, it's not lamb news. It's pangolin news.
But it is actually proper news, and you didn't just select a words and then decide to try and do
have you ever eaten a pangolin?
I have never eaten a pangolin, but I believe they are the most trafficked animal in the world.
They are, and quite crunchy as well.
Are they?
Due to the their backs, aren't they?
Oh yes, yeah.
Those crispy little bits, aren't they? Like armadillos. So, China removes pangolin medicine from clinical prescriptions. This was from the World Animal Protection, that's the source. So, China removes a medicine called, hope I can say it right, Galinji. That's how I'm going to say it.
I'll take your word for it.
It's a medicine containing pangolin, and this marks a step towards the protection of pangolins worldwide.
Fantastic.
In a promising development for wildlife protection, China has removed, I can say again, the Galinji. Anyone wants to write in and correct me, please do. A traditional medicine containing pangolin ingredients. I'm going to say it again. Galinji, once designated as a confidential national prescription, was among 19 other medicines which have also now been excluded from clinical prescriptions. So, Galinji, do you know what the ingredients are, Jim?
Pangolin?
For sure. Any other ideas?
No.
Red ginseng.
Right.
Deer antler.
Really?
And the magic ingredient, seahorse.
Seahorse.
So
what is this supposed to help with?
So this animal-derived products, it does hold ethical and conservation concerns. It's a traditional medicine. It's been prominent in China since 1957.
Right.
Okay, and I think we should check it out, don't you, as to what the medicine actually does. So, if a medicine is no longer listed, it indicates that it no longer meets the criteria for safety or ethical acceptability, and healthcare providers may reduce or avoid its use altogether. So, the decision to delist Galinji is part of the growing awareness of the need for Chinese medicine to align with the West, which is a good thing, isn't it? Because pangolins are critically endangered due to trafficking, and as you said, the most trafficked animal in the world, aren't they? This change sends a strong message that traditional practices, easy for me to say, can evolve and must do so to meet today's urgent challenges for biodiversity and animal welfare. So, how are we getting on regarding
Galinji, what it's good for? Well, so far I will come back to that, but I did discover we actually missed World Pangolin Day.
Oh, did we? When was World Pangolin Day?
This year it was the 14th of February. It's the third Saturday every
February. Okay.
So, I mean, coming off the back of World Pangolin Day, excellent news for the pangolins. Very good news for those.
Yeah.
So, yes, Galinji, as you say, not quite sure if that is the correct pronunciation. And I'm not sure that people writing in is going to help because it'll still be written down. But Galinji protects against, of course it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Spermatogenesis dysfunction. So this is presumably yet another one of those Chinese medicines that's supposed to make you fertile.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
By killing lots of animals and combats
Oh.
aging and male sexual dysfunction.
And tonifying the kidney.
Yes.
Right. So you eat a pangolin and a bit of red deer
with a sprinkling of seahorse, and whose horns were in it?
Red ginseng.
Yes, so is that horns of some bugger as well?
Red ginseng's just sort of a herb, isn't it?
Yeah, but you
deer antler.
Deer antler, that was the one. So
seahorse.
Deer's seahorse. And pangolins all getting mutilated just in the hope that the Chinese
can get it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, I mean, there's
There's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them
in the world today.
It doesn't seem that they're having too many problems.
1.3 billion.
And growing fast.
So it'd be interesting, won't it, to track if they take this medicine away, whether we're actually see a decrease in the birth rate in China.
Yeah, it wasn't actually doing anything at all.
Probably. Whoa, I shouldn't say that, should I? I mean, this is hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Let's stay bigging it up for China. This is great news for pangolins.
Yeah.
And hopefully a really good step in the right direction. I too have a little shout out for the Chinese.
Yes.
This
week. Yeah.
Big climate news. Because China, that China, the biggest emitter on the planet, has promised a full-scale emissions reduction plan by November. All sectors, all greenhouse gases, even methane, which up till now has basically had diplomatic immunity. Methane is finally getting invited to the Climate Accountability Party. And not just...
And how are they doing that? Stopping cows farting, right?
Well, this is important. First of all, it's the plan. How are they going to do it? I mean, here's the real kicker. Experts say that China's emissions may have already peaked, and that's encouraging when you remember their last environmental pledge came with more asterisks than a Lance Armstrong autobiography. Still, let's give credit where it's due. China now builds more solar panels in a week than the UK builds in a decade. And we've given a lot of shout-outs to how Great Britain is doing. Climate stuff.
Yeah.
And we're doing our bit. But that's amazing. They've actually installed enough wind turbines for China to power every British hairdryer twice over, even the ones that, full on Karen. I mean, it's not perfect. They've also greenlit more coal plants in a Bonfim startup pitch. So it's a little bit like your friend who still eats takeaways every night, but they've joined the gym. It's progress. Meanwhile, in the US, the climate strategy under Trump 2.0 seems to be, if we stop measuring emissions, technically we're not polluting. Forget greenhouse gases, the biggest toxic emission out of America right now is probably his social media posts. Trump has pulled the US out of the Paris Agreement again, making America the geopolitical equivalent of a toddler refusing to wear pants because they don't believe in pants anymore. He slashed funding for EVs, he's axed renewable spending, and made oil lobbyists feel like they've just won a Lifetime Achievement Award. So, we've got this bizarre world now where China is giving us reasons for hope and the US is giving us heat stroke.
Well, you could argue, couldn't you, that Donald, with his tariffs, is contributing as well because he's slowed the world economy down, hasn't he? So with less trade, therefore, using less emissions, less transporting goods from China to America.
And certainly he's got tourism to America.
Tourism as well. I
think
the flights from Canada to America are down 80% year on year. So
flights to America from pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So, his tariff policy, you could argue, is a green policy.
Yes. And if you tell him now, I'm sure he'll reverse it.
So let's not. Let's all keep quiet and let him carry on.
Absolutely. But look, the good news in all of this, because we always want to get back to the good news, the planet's biggest polluter is now officially on the hook for an all-sector climate plan. If they stick to it, and that is a big if, it could shift the global curve. With any luck, America one day rejoin the climate fight just as soon as it stops lighting it on fire for insurance money.
As we said before, the solution, the way out of the catastrophe is to monetize it.
Absolutely.
And China are the lead, aren't they, on wind turbines? The majority of turbines in Britain are built in China, aren't they?
Turbines, solar panels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. They are building the stuff. I mean, they've not been using huge amounts of it, but if they start doing that, then it's going to make a huge difference. And if we can get to a point where actually you've got one last big polluter left, and then the pressure on that one last big polluter mounts.
Well, it is America and China, isn't it? The last two big polluters.
If China turns the corner, then really all we need to do is wait for Trump to bugger off. And hopefully we can all get sensible on this.
Another, I think a bit of good news, in the green revolution, because there are lots of things happening. So sometimes it's all doom and gloom, but it's going to be evolution, not revolution, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming. So loads of things. I mean, every week we've reported on something new in terms of the environmental place. We just need to stand to have a difference now.
And obviously Britain is year on year for the last 20 years. The emissions have gone down year on year for the last 20 years.
They have. Unfortunately, of course, in the grand scheme of things, we are a very small polluter.
Yeah.
But we are doing our bit, as are lots of other countries.
Do you know our contribution to the overall pie percentage?
Not as a percentage, do you know?
1%. 1%. So, but then again, we can be, we can be a leader, can't we?
Absolutely.
We can, we can be a developer. We can do the innovation.
Yes.
And sell it to the Chinese who can then mass produce it.
It's everybody's skills. And I don't think we're done with China yet.
We haven't. Did you watch snooker?
I watched a fair bit of it, yes. I like watching snooker. Always have done.
Did you watch Zhao?
I watched Zhao a few times.
Xintong.
I saw him take, was it Chris Wakeham to pieces and then Ronnie O'Sullivan. I didn't get to see that much of the final, but I saw some bits of it. I mean, he's very good.
He is very good. He's the future, isn't he?
He is. Very exciting player.
But so with that in mind, this caught my eye. Is Zhao Xintong the most complicated world champion in snooker history?
The most complicated for what reasons? Because he's just come back from the ban?
Yeah. So again, we're pro China tonight, aren't we? We are.
There's been plenty of good news coming out of China.
Yeah, so
we should applaud.
So China's finally won its first world champion.
Well done to them. Samsung.
But he immediately becomes the most complicated world champion in snooker history. Let me go on. Will you let me go on?
I will let you go on.
So as you just said, his talent and class are without question. He's a left-hander, isn't he? Which has got many admirers.
First amidst one world championship.
Yeah.
Although it's not quite that simple, is it?
No, for sure.
There's no reason why he's
there. So comparisons with Jimmy White, O'Sullivan is a great champion of him.
He's been mentoring him, hasn't
he? He has. So the Rocket is currently mentoring him in the Middle East, where he's got his snooker academy now based, and also talking about moving out there, isn't he?
Yeah.
So after the semi-final, the Rocket has said he thinks he'll become a megastar, and he's probably right. I think he is probably right.
Yeah. I mean, certainly in China he will.
I mean, it's massive in China, isn't it?
Absolutely massive. I was going to say 12 of the top 32 are now Chinese.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's a huge amount.
Yeah. So, as you said, he's competing in Sheffield this fortnight as an amateur. Due to him coming back from his 20-month ban from match fixing.
Let's be clear. So he was never found guilty of match rigging himself, was he? He was found guilty of, he knew other people were doing it and he was betting on it. But I don't think there's ever been any suggestion that he himself.
No, for sure. So 10 Chinese players were charged with varying degrees of match fixing. And Zhao at the time was ranked 9th in the world when his suspension began. But then after that, he was banned for 20 months. And as you say, he didn't fix any matches, hence why his punishment was slightly on the lenient side. But he was found guilty of being party to another player fixing 2 matches and betting on snooker matches himself. So what do we think about that? Is that good news that someone from China has won, or do we feel that maybe slightly tarnished?
Yeah, it is a mixed bag. I think it's great news that someone from China has won. This has been coming for a while. I thought Ding Junhui would be the first guy to do it. They got to the final, but didn't quite get over the line. There are a lot of very good Chinese players. Game's massive. There, it can only be good for the game of snooker, I think. It's a shame that it's come immediately that he's come back from the ban, even if it's been a year or so since he's ban. Because there are people questioning whether he should even be competing at the moment. So it is going to be slightly tarnished by that. As time goes on, it will just be forgotten.
I mean, there was an interesting piece that said, how does the governing body now promote him? Do they celebrate his on-table achievements and pretend it never happened? Or lean into this as some kind of redemption or comeback?
Well, I think you probably treat it in the same way you would treat anyone that's a rehabilitation offender thing. whether you agree with his punishment or whether you don't, he's had his punishment. He's done his time. It's done.
Because we also got the Scottish player, haven't we? He was involved.
Yes, but he
pulled
did
that.
actually rig games, didn't he?
Well, I think he was about to, and then he lost his nerve, didn't he, at the end, and pulled out. So
I mean, there's been issues like this before. I mean, obviously, John Higgins.
Yeah,
I can't remember if he got a ban or a
Yeah.
slap on the wrist.
slap on the wrist, didn't
because he found himself in a position where he felt in danger. But he reported it before he rigged any matches. It's a difficult one. I mean, obviously the lad should have come forward and reported things, but we were there thinking, it's not always easy. There's a lot of quite dangerous people mixed up in this stuff.
But I think
you've just got to go down this route. I would say where it's done his time.
Yeah, but 10 Chinese players all charged. It's obviously quite widespread. Or a lot of the top players moaning, saying that you shouldn't have got the prize money. Or do we think that's just a bit of sour grapes? That maybe something which we've always owned in this country has now finally gone to somewhere which could only, increase, couldn't it, really? Potentially.
It could. I mean, it's not the first overseas player. Cliff Thorburn,
Yeah,
Canadian,
yeah.
Luke Bristol, Belgium. And there's been another overseas one, and I can't remember who. Oh, Neil Robertson, Australian. So there have been overseas players win the world championship. I hope it's not about that. I can understand some people being annoyed about it and maybe feeling the punishment should have been harsher. But look, the punishment was the punishment. You can blame people for what they've done. You can't blame them for the punishment that they get.
Well, if the rules are 20 months, then he's done his 20 months. He's back, and he's come out and won the world champ, which you could say is an incredible achievement.
It's an incredible achievement. I mean, he played some great snooker, huge entertainment. You can see how much the crowd liked him.
Yeah, well, it's exciting, isn't it?
That's what we want to see, players like that. That's why Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
Despite some of his personality defects, has always been a hugely popular champion because he's entertaining.
I mean, it's a great competition, isn't it? But we had the usual rumblings, didn't we? It's not big enough. Barry Hearn every year. So I think, unfortunately, it will leave the Crucible. And there's talk of it going to the Middle East, which is a shame, isn't it? Because I think we will lose that kind of magic of the Crucible. I don't know if you've ever been there, have you?
I have been
to watch it. It's amazing.
It's great, and everyone seems to like playing there. But I think it's for me, it's a sad part of it's another sport going to the Middle East. A sport that people in the Middle East don't particularly play. And it's just sports washing a whole load of
for sure. Following the money.
Other stuff, yes.
Following the money. But there we go. That doesn't, take away. So we're saying we think that's a good thing. That hasn't tarnished his reputation. We don't feel uncomfortable. We're just saying, well done, China, for producing your first ever world champion snooker.
First of, I suspect.
For many, feels like it, doesn't it?
It feels like this is a tipping point. It's been coming for a good 10, 15 years.
Yeah. And the top players now are finally coming to the end, aren't they?
Yeah, I can't believe that Higgins, O'Sullivan, and Williams will play that much. I've got two of them in the semi-final, one in the quarter-final. Ridiculous, really. So again, well done to all of the class of '92 for yet again.
So lots of good Chinese. You can't accuse us of being biased on this show.
Absolutely not. I would hope not.
So what do we have next?
What do we have next?
Any more Chinese news?
From China.
Oh, okay.
And I had a little dig at the Americans earlier, so let's do some good American news. So this is another sciencey story, at which point Shelley would laugh at me and call me a nerd.
Well, you are.
Thank you. But these scientists, these are the good kind, not the ones inventing AI girlfriends or new types of crypto. They've developed a nutrient-rich snack bar for bees. Bees now have meal prep. And it turns out, like the rest of us, they thrive on overpriced bars for the stuff you can't pronounce.
Okay. What is the bar called? Do we know?
I don't know. Maybe it's in here somewhere.
Buzzra. Carob. Anyway, why didn't he?
Well, no,
why can't they just use flowers like normally?
there's a reason for that, which I will come on to.
Right.
So basically, it was cooked up by researchers at Washington State University and by a Belgian biotech firm. Sounds like a setup for a joke that ends with someone supping on a waffle, doesn't it? But no, this is real. They've created a food source that gives honeybees all the nutrients they need, even when natural pollen isn't around, which is good. Because the bees' usual buffet of flower power has been replaced by concrete, climate change, and golf courses for people called Nigel. It's basically a protein bar for bees, and if they market it right, then I'm sure someone in Shoreditch will start eating it ironically by next Tuesday. Before this breakthrough, bees were the only livestock without man-made feed. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
So cows have pellets, chickens get grain, dogs have gourmet venison stew from Waitrose, but bees, nothing, bugger all. Nada.
Pangolins.
Vibes and, well, they're not really livestock. Well, I don't know. So they're probably, I don't.
It's all in the research, isn't it, Jim? Don't look at me like that.
Well, dear, I couldn't research every single species individually.
Red deer, did you do that?
Well, there are red deer livestock. That's in the research, isn't it, Stu? But anyway, now bees have a bar containing everything they want.
Touche.
Amino acids. Vitamins, minerals. You did deserve that.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Thank you. So yes, this bar, it's got amino acids.
Bees livestock?
Well, yeah, because beekeepers and farms and honey and stuff.
Okay. Ostriches.
Shall I carry on with
this?
Thank you. So the bar, I've been trying to say, it's got amino acids.
How big are they?
Minerals. It's got.
How big are they? These bars?
Bees?
No, these bars.
Well, I imagine they're quite small. They're for bees.
Well, they're going to be, aren't they? Literally.
Unless the bees swarm all over.
Oh, do you think it's like a big bar and they all have a little
just drop it in the hive and they all get to it?
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be tiny, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
How would they open the packets?
What makes you think they come in packets? Do you know how's a bee going to open a packet?
What? Well, you said
well, they can open the foil packet.
But you said these people
with their little
bee hands. But you said people in Shoreditch are going to eat them ironically. So they're going to want them marketed, aren't they?
Stu.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Okay, right. Oh, okay. So you can't buy these then in the shops?
Not at the moment. However, as the joke said, if you market them properly, then someone in Shoreditch will eat them ironically.
I suppose if they are big.
I don't really want to have to break down joke structures to you.
Okay. All right, okay.
I mean, I can if you want, but it's going to get very tedious.
But I thought, sort of thing someone in, Shoreditch might eat, I guess, isn't it? Bit like,
well, that was the point of the joke.
Oh, I see. Is this like when they used to eat breakfast cereal? When they had that breakfast cereal shop, and they all went in there and ate breakfast cereal, and they paid like $5 for it. Breakfast cereals around the world. Didn't last very long in the shop, but that was that kind of thing. Is it that kind of thing?
If I say yes, will you stop talking?
I will. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So
yes, you want me to talk about the bar some more?
No, I do.
Okay.
I've just got this vision of bees with their little bee hands opening up these bars.
Protein bars.
Yeah. I suspect it's going to be a big one with no wrapper, where they all kind of just have a little nibble. That would be better.
I think, why didn't you check that out? And I'll finish.
No. Okay. Right. Here we go then. This is about livestock only.
Have you got your screen? Because you don't touch mine, you know.
I'm not going to touch your screen. Now, we just need to get this back on track.
If we can just finish this off.
Okay.
You can do your lot and then we can finish this whole thing off.
No, let's get back.
Everyone out.
So these bars are full of what? Vitamins, minerals?
We're still reading it off the national. And they keep reading it. Close to cholesterol, which is a real molecule. It's not a villain in June.
And not a villain
in June.
Not a villain.
No.
Yeah, I can do the jokes as well. Yeah.
Not if I turn the screen away from you, can I? So anyway, look, this bar it helps baby grow strong, avoid paralysis, and not die horribly in a sunflower. I feel so. That's good.
Do they die horribly in a sunflower?
Well, yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Okay.
Field tests showed that bees on the new diet outperformed those on traditional feed or no feed at all, which, to be fair, is also true of most
When you say
humans.
outperformed, do you mean produce more honey?
Outperformed in all ways.
Okay. Which ways?
All of them.
Okay. All right. Good.
No, this
all,
could
no,
be
all the ways. All the ways. Good.
Okay.
Just write that down.
Okay, so this could be a genuine game changer in the fight against common cold. The price is so bad, even people who don't care about nature had to admit you kind of like apples and coffee and not starving, because without bees, about a third of what we eat just stops showing up.
Yeah,
that's not a vibe. That's rationing then. So the best part of all this is that the bee bar doesn't just keep colonies alive; it helps them to thrive in places with crap pollen.
Yeah,
like monoculture farms or whatever your dad sprays his lawn with 3 types of poison to keep daisies from unionizing. So yeah, scientists said did a good thing.
So I mean, it is actually, a real benefit, isn't it? So like urban areas, like you say, which for the concrete. So all of a sudden you can keep bees because you've got these bars, you haven't got all the flowers and so on. So basically the honey can be produced pretty much anywhere.
So they can thrive. So it takes them bees. They maybe saved us a little. They didn't even name it something dumb like bee straw. Buzzfield 3000 or whatever that stupid thing you came up with. So I mean, we've still got to fix the climate, rewild the land, maybe stop treating the planet like a scratch card. But for now, bees have snacks. And honestly, that's more hope than I had this time last week. So.
Absolutely. And, bees are always vital, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. As we said before, it's a system. It's all a system. Take something out of it and it doesn't work very well.
And where was this? US, was it? This invented in the US. So,
Washington. Well, it's between the University of Washington and Belgian biotech company.
Fantastic. Another bit of good eco news there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's your views on child marriage, Jim?
My views
on
child marriage?
Good thing, bad thing, indifferent?
No, I can't say that I view it as a good thing. No.
Okay, so this is from Equity Now. This is my source on this one. So in the last year, this is good news, Belize, Colombia, Kuwait, and Portugal have raised the minimum age of marriage to 18 years. Okay, in Colombia, this has taken 17 years of campaign to get to this point. Colombia has become the latest country to prohibit child marriage without exceptions. This new law represents a crucial step in protecting the rights of girls and adolescents by prohibiting child marriage. This reform will close a legal loophole that has enabled harmful practices and violated constitutional principles such as the right to integral development, equality, and protection against all forms of violence. By banning child marriage and early unions, Colombia is making a clear commitment to gender equality and the rights of children and adolescents. So in Latin America and the Caribbean, Colombia ranks 11th in terms of adolescents who marry or enter early unions before the age of 15. These human rights violations, they kind of form cycles of poverty and expose girls to severe risks such as sexual and domestic violence, early pregnancies and school dropout, particularly in rural areas. As in the case in many parts of the world, child marriages and early unions often involve older men and younger girls. This age difference can create a substantial power imbalance, giving the husband more authority both socially and economically, leaving young wives more vulnerable to various forms of exploitation and abuse, including domestic violence.
It's rooted in gender inequality and the belief that girls and women are inferior to men.
Sure.
And can just be owned by men.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to hear. I'm just looking at some statistics here. 25 million child marriages were prevented in the last decade due to changes in law. However, at the current rates of reduction, it will still take over 100 years to end child marriage in West and Central Africa. And in fact, over 300, it will take about 300 years, according to The Guardian. The first figure came from UNICEF. Feel like the more reliable source.
Sure. So we're on the path in the right direction. But a long way to go.
Long way to go.
Long way to go.
But you kind of hope it's one of those things that maybe it speeds up as you get over the hump. So yes, look, this is again good news. Steps in the right direction.
Good news for girls and women.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the gender imbalance.
I mean, it's unfortunately with the gender imbalance, as we talked about before, it's going to take a long time to get there, if it ever does, to get genuine balance. But every step in the right direction is hopefully a good thing.
So go Colombia, go South America, but obviously Africa,
and
Portugal, Africa. Obviously, lots of education. And education is the key there. But unfortunately, even though in some parts of Europe, I mean, Turkey still has a high rate of young marriages for girls as well. And so that can only be changed by, highlighting the issue and campaigning. But positive news there.
Positive news. Love it. Good. Well, another week of good news. That's pretty much everything from Everything's Fine. Probably your weekly reminder that even in a world where the news feels like a fire drill inside a clown car, there is still plenty worth smiling about. Because let's be honest, Stu, good news. It's not just a nice bonus. It's basically a multivitamin for the soul.
Whoa.
Studies have shown hearing positive news can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and make you 43% less likely to throw your phone into the sea.
Well, that B news cheered me up.
Yeah,
that did. The B news was good. I think that's my takeaway from this week. The B bar.
The B bar.
The B bar. Let's have one of those. So off to the rugby this weekend.
Yes, indeed.
Harlequins versus the mighty Gloucester. So predictions, please.
I predict a lot of beer will get drunk by us. Certainly, as a Harlequins fan, I'm going to need it because I have a bad feeling Gloucester are going to put a lot of points on us. We're not playing well this season.
But, there'll be plenty of friends there.
Plenty of friends there. 10 of us going.
10 of us going. Enjoy the day out.
Made up, which again, good for the soul. Get out into the sun with friends. Enjoy yourself and just don't take it too seriously. Good. So
enjoy your week.
Yeah, you too. And remember, a couple of things for our listeners. The world might be run by people who look like deleted characters from the Muppet Show, but it's also home to scientists who are healing brains, activists cleaning oceans, and bees who are against all odds thriving on protein bars. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, log off for 10 minutes, go outside, watch a dog in a raincoat, read a story that doesn't end with "and then everyone exploded." And remember, hope isn't naive, it's necessary. So we fight back with laughter, with kindness, with slightly sarcastic podcasts to remind you that the future isn't cancelled yet. So stay curious, stay kind. If you like this, please comment, please share, please subscribe. We are wherever you find your podcasts. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Unless
we're not going.
In which case we'll still record from the shade. Yes, we are going.
Are we?
Yes.
Well, now?
Now.